Hi, third graders. Today we're working on 3NF3C. And our I can statement today is I can compare unit fractions by reasoning about the size using fraction strips, number lines, and number bonds. So we're going to be using 3 different tools today. All right, so this is what each of the slides looks like, and the directions are the same on every slide. This is just kind of tying together the different tools that we know how to use and just really making sure that we understand the concept of fractions and we know how they relate to one another. So the directions are to draw a number bond for each fractional unit, also partition the fraction strip to show the unit fractions, and then use the fraction strip to help you label the fractions on the number line, okay? It says to be sure to label fractions at 0 and 1. So we have a 0, we have a 1. We are going to be using all 3 of these tools. So we used a number bond when we were doing multiplication and division, but now I want to show you how you could use those when you are doing fractions, okay? So we know, if we go over to our virtual manipulatives over here, we know how many halves it takes to make a whole, right? So here we have our halves. It takes us 2 halves to make 1 whole. So our number bond looks like this. We have our 2 halves that make 1 whole. This is just going to help us when we start learning how to add fractions together. It just helps us really visualize fractions in a different type of a way. It's another great tool to use. All right, now we have our fraction strip right here, okay? I need to make my fraction strip into 2 equal halves. I'm going to try to be as equal as possible because remember, fractions have to be equal parts. So I'm eyeballing this, but I think right here looks kind of like the middle so that there would be 2 equal parts. So I'm going to use my drawing tool and I'm just going to make a line down the middle of here. So we have 1 half and 2 halves, right? Okay, now I am going to also show my fractions by making hops on the number line. Okay, my hop should be in the exact same place as my fraction strip. Okay, so I'm going to hop downwards since this is on the top. So this is hard. I'm going to go very slow because I want it to look nice. And here's my first hop. That's 1 half. And then here's 2 halves. All right, now it's time for me to label. Okay, so I'm going to use my text tool to label. So 1 half. Actually, I'm going to start by doing 0 halves. I said make it really small so I can fit it on my number line. Okay. And then here's 1 half. Okay. And here, last jump is going to be called 2 halves. And that's all you have to do. If you want to label 1 half over here, duplicate it. I'm going to actually bring it up. I'm going to put a half over here. Actually, I'll put it right here. That's where half of my fraction bar is, right? All right, so we have done all the things that it asked us to do. We put our numbers into a number bond. We put it into a fraction strip, and we actually labeled it on our number line as well. So we are done with this slide. Let's take a look at the next slide. We're doing the same thing. All right, so now we have to make some thirds. Okay, so how many thirds equal 1 whole? Because that's what we're going to have to do for our number bond. So let's try it over here. Okay. All right, so we have our thirds. Let's see how many it takes to make a whole. All right, how many of you already knew that? It takes 3/3 to make 1 whole. All right, so guess what? We have to make 3/3 on our number bond. So that's going to be job number 1. I do not like trying to write numbers with the little drawing tool, so I'm going to use my text box. 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 1 whole. All right, so now that I've made this, I'm going to make it the size that I want it. And then I can actually just click here and duplicate it instead of typing it 3 times. Okay, and I'm going to drag my thirds over to my number bond. Going to take my 3/3 to equal 1 whole, and then I'm going to use my marker and I'm going to attach them so that it looks like a number bond. There. Okay, so job number 1 is done. 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 1 whole. There's our number bond tool. All right, next we have to cut our strip, our fraction strip over here into thirds, okay? Thirds for me are the hardest, okay? I'm gonna try this, and if I don't think that they look equal, I'll just erase it and I'll try it again. I'm gonna switch colors because I don't like using the same color for too long. All right. Oh, I'm pretty proud of myself. I think these are pretty equal. So here's 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. I think they look pretty good. All right, now I'm gonna do my halves on the number line, okay? Start at 0. My first half is gonna end right where my fraction bar ends. So we have 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. And now I have to label. All right, so I'm gonna start with 0/3. Resize it by clicking on that little hand. Make it nice and small. Click on it so I can drag it. All right, so we have 0/3. My next fraction is called 1/3. My next fraction is called, you guessed it, 2/3. And then at 1, we call that 3/3, right? All right, we are done. And if we want to label our thirds up here, we can. We don't have to though, because we already have them labeled on our number line. So we have a number bond that's split into thirds. We have a fraction bar that's split into thirds, and we have our number line that's labeled with our thirds. Job is done, right? I would like you to finish, there's 3 more slides. I would like you to finish the number bonds, the fraction strips, and the number line on each of the slides, just to kind of connect in your brain how those 3 tools work together. So good luck, have fun, and I will see you later. Bye.